Hello, and welcome to the Notary Life with Kimmi Podcast. I am also one of the trainers with Notary Educators, which includes myself, Kimberly Nunnally, Angela Johnson, and Alexis Franklin. We each own our own very successful notary businesses and teach notaries in all 50 states to be great and grow their own business. We will discuss general notary work, apostilles, ink fingerprinting, and the duties of a notary signing agent, and much, much more. For all of your notary needs, please visit notaryeducatorsllc.com. We hope you enjoy the show, and we wish you much success. Hello, and welcome to Notary Life with Kimmi. I am here with Mr. Jeffrey in the house. Hey, Jeffrey.
Hey, Kimmi. How's everybody doing out there?
Our other two people, Ms. Angela and Alexis, are not going to be able to join us tonight, but we are going to talk it up tonight about preventing fraud. It is so important for us to do so as notaries. We are the first line of defense. I want to say hey to those who will join us on the replay, those of you who will also listen to the podcast. In case you have not heard, the word on the street is Notary Educators has a podcast. Ooh. Let's say hello to some people, Jeffrey. We got April. Hey, April. April is from Boston. What's up?
Good to see you, Miss April. And we have Donna.
Hey, Donna. What's going on? Welcome. Let me cut my phone where it won't make so much noise because I am still officially on the clock working. We are open a little bit later these days. How's everybody doing? Welcome. We'll give YouTube a few minutes to notify people. We'll try to get some people on Facebook, like give you a shout out, get your names, but Jeffrey doesn't have access to Facebook, and it's kind of hard for me to navigate both. So we'll do the best we can for the best experience. You may just want to come on over to YouTube. How is everyone doing? Tonight we are talking about how to prevent fraud, because believe it or not, there is so much fraud happening out here in these notary streets. If you have not been watching the news, people are stealing people's property like crazy. The deeds, just transferring, and especially in the state of Georgia and other states too, it's very easy to take over someone's property. It's too easy. It's sinful how easy it is. Okay, so we are going to hop right into it. For those who may be late, you can go back and catch the beginning. So we're going to talk about, again, how to prevent fraud tonight, because we are the first line of defense. Hey, Angel from Detroit. What's up? Yeah, we are the first line of defense, like it or not. And a lot of people say, well, that's not fair. The notary always get the short end of the stick. And it is true. Something goes wrong, the first person that they're coming for is the notary. So Tara is saying that my Wi-Fi is not clear. Can you check on your end, Tara? Because I don't see anything on my end. Usually it'll skip or something. Are you seeing anything, Jeff?
No.
Okay, so check your end, Tara, for me. See if it's on your end. Because usually it will do something kooky on my end, and it has not done that. Actually, in a while, let's not talk it up. So let's get right into it. So the main way that we as notaries help prevent fraud is by identifying our client. Now, that may seem like, oh, but that's common sense. Everybody should know that. Yeah, it's not common sense. Okay, that's why we're going to talk about it. The first line of defense is to identify your client. So we're going to get right into some steps on how we identify them. And then we have about 11 different things here that we've noted that will help you in preventing fraud. Okay. And I will add this other caveat, because I hear people all the time say, well, I just need to make sure I have the right amount of insurance. No, we don't want to just have the right amount of insurance. Make sure we prevent it. That's like having a car. That's like having car insurance and say, well, I got car insurance, so I can just go do whatever I want to do. Not. We're going to try to avoid car accidents, right? We're going to make sure that, even if I always tell Jeffrey, look out for the other people, assume that they're going to do something stupid, the other driver. And they normally do. But we're not going to assume, well, I have car insurance, so I'm good. Okay, same thing with notary insurance. We're not going to assume, well, I got notary insurance. I got errors and omission. They got bond coverage. and all this. So that means that we're going to just do whatever we want to do. No, we're going to do our best to prevent. So Jeffrey, you want to talk about number 1 for us, please?
Yeah, the first thing that, excuse me, folks, the first thing that we want to do to prevent fraud, and that's the role of a notary. Obviously, you're there to identify who the person is. So when we have that in mind, what's the best way to confirm that this person is who they say that they are? Well, the first line of defense is to make sure that they're there. If they're not standing in front of you, then that notary or that notarization cannot take place. They can't say that my name is Sally, but in essence, Susan is standing in front of you. So they have to be there in front of you in order for that to happen. Now, unless you're in a state that allows RON, remote online notarization, that's another part of the topic that we can, another caveat. But the first line of defense is to make sure that that person is standing in front of you, and that's notary rules 101.
And we get that quite a bit. Clients will say, well, you notarized something for me in the past. Can you just do it for me? Or they'll say, hey, I got my mom's ID. Can I put her on the camera? They give you all kind of excuses and all kind of workarounds. Just like we don't want to tell the client no, they don't want to be told no. So they come up with all kind of stuff. Once you, especially for your repeat clients, really watch them, because they'll say, well, you did it. I was in front of you the first time. Doesn't that count? No, every single time we teach you in our Notarize Like a Pro training. Every single time we do the same process. Every time we do not change the process. So the process is the client needs to be standing in front of you. How about number 2?
The next one is, and once they're in front of you, the next step to prevent fraud is that they need to give some sort of identification. Now, we're not talking about a credit card without a picture. We need some sort of a government issued ID, a driver's license, a passport, something that's an official document or a card or what have you, that you can look at and compare the two, apples to apples. And when you do that, then you have fulfilled that part of your confirming who the person is and preventing fraud.
Yes. So you want to make sure what is acceptable with your state. We always push back to the handbook. Always push back to your state handbook. So government issued ID could be driver's license, state ID, passport. And just to add a little bit of a little extra bonus there, some states do allow you to accept an expired ID. Some states do not have any restrictions at all if it needs to be current or not. So you need to know what your state handbook says, okay? Next.
The next is, okay, so they're standing in front of you. They've given you a government ID or some sort of official ID, a driver's license, a passport, or something along those lines. Now, the third line of defense is matching it with the face. So you want to look and see, obviously they may have changed their hair if it's a lady, but the point is that you should be able to determine within a reasonable degree that that's the person that's standing in front of you. Once you've done that, that's another way that you're preventing that fraud from taking place.
And you also want to look at the person, again, the age. So does the ID say that they look like they should be around 20, but it's a 50-year-old giving you the ID? Or the reverse? Is it a 20-year-old and she's giving you an ID of someone that looks like they're 50? Red flag, okay? Also, you have a lot of times nowadays people are presenting, it may be a male, but they're actually female, or vice versa. We are not the gender police. We don't get into all of that. We don't push back, and unless your state says something different, and I'm sure it does not. It may, but I doubt it, because we are not the gender police. But if so, for example, Alexis actually had this happen, our other trainer. She had an ID. I believe it was a woman, but he presented as a male in front of her. So she did her best to identify the person. Okay. And then she just wrote all the extra notes in her journal. So you're not the gender police. We're not going to be like, well, your ID says your name is Juana and you saying your name is John. Well, no, we're going to do the best we can to identify that person. As Jeffrey already mentioned very nicely, sometimes people have lost weight, gained weight, especially as women. We change our hair color. You know, somebody's asking, can you accept an ID if somebody's wearing colored contacts? Something like that. They may have on green eye contacts today, but their actual eye color is brown. So we're not the eye contact police. They can wear whatever color eyes they want to, but everything else need to be matching. Okay. Next, number 4 kind of goes along with that, but we can go ahead and address it, Jeffrey.
The next one is obviously with the face. We want to make sure that they appear, when you're looking at the ID, that they appear, the ID and who's standing in front of you matches. And that we just had a job. Well, that goes to the previous one about matching with the name. We had a job, Kimmy, if you remember last week, we had to kind of do a little back and forth with a client. And depending on the type of document, this is where, folks, you want to be mindful of the document that they're signing, that the person on the document and their ID pretty much matches. They need to be able to corroborate that. But again, we're getting back to the 4th thing is regarding their face. Who is it that's standing in front of you? If it's a person, if it's a drastic change, and the person in front of you is black, but on the ID is completely different, then that's a problem. I mean, so you need to look and say, okay, you're looking at it, you can kind of reasonably tell. Obviously, if you have an ID or a driver's license and you had it for 2, 3, 4 years, might be a little change of difference as far as weight is concerned, hair color or hairstyle rather, depending on who it is. But we want to make sure that face, for the most part, matches who you're looking at, that's standing in front of you.
Yeah, they also may have a scar in front of you, but there's not a scar on the ID picture. You know, that may be where you need to have a little conversation. Is it just where they just cut themselves recently, or was there some kind of birthmark that should be there that's not? You know, so you got to look at all of that. Jeffrey, can you take the next one? I believe we have a client, so I'll be right back.
Yeah, folks, like we said, we changed our time. And so we're extending our hours because now it's getting a little bit lighter. So, and then when the time changes here in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be hitting it. So we got to keep taking these calls. So we're working notaries. So the next thing is the signature on the document. Now, that signature should be reasonably close. Now, here's the thing. I know my signature. I don't know about you all. Probably a lot of you can identify. Nowadays, we sign digitally, and we write with text messages and emails or what have you. And to actually physically sign something, its signature might be off a little bit. I know for me, I was a stickler in school about how my signature, I tried to mirror my signature after my dad. He had some of the most incredible penmanship. His penmanship was like, you see like a blueprint, a blueprint of a building. And he had that nice slant. And I would practice for hours and just trying to get it. And even his signature, I tried to do his, the cursive signature, which a lot of people don't do it today either, which I just saw in the news. They're trying to bring that back to school, but when it comes to the signature on the document, so let's say their name is Anderson.
Sorry about that. I'm back.
That's okay. If their name, first name is William John Anderson, then when they're signing that document, especially if it's something like with a loan or what have you, more than likely they've checked that person's ID as well. So their ID needs to match their signature or on the document. It should look pretty much the same. So when they're signing, when they do that first signature on the document and you look at their ID, it should be pretty close to it. Now, like I said before, over the years, my signature has changed. It's not the way that it used to be. And so I have to kind of really concentrate. Okay, I used to sign like this way, but it should be more than likely it should be within line with what you see on that ID. And if so, then you're pretty good. Take it into account, like we mentioned before, that nowadays most of us, we communicate digitally, electronically, and we don't do a lot of physical writing.
Very good. So that must have been signature on the document.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, very good. So our client, Jeffrey, is coming at 6:30. So I'll let you skip out and do that. Okay. If you need me, you can just call me.
Okay.
All right, sir. So we'll keep going until our client arrives. Okay. Number 6.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it.
Yeah, so we want to compare the name of the document with ID, which I would just mention. I kind of jumped ahead of myself. So the name should be, if it's William John Anderson, and that should that should be pretty much the same thing. What happens is, folks, especially if it's on a loan document or a loan modification or some sort of official, something dealing with money, that company or entity has already done their due diligence, more than likely with having getting that person's ID. And that's why you'll see the signature line. They'll have that client's name already documented or printed there, typed out. So when you're with your client, you want to remind them that they want to sign the same way that they have it on that's on that document. That will avoid a problem for them and for you, because somewhere down the line, of course, they may come back to you, and so the main thing is that you want to avoid a problem ahead of time. So you're looking at their ID, you see who it is, you match it up with the document that you're going to be signing, that you're going to be notarizing. You're doing all of these things within a matter of seconds. You're checking the face, you're checking their signature, you're looking at, okay, you have a government some sort of an ID. It's in front of you, and then you're able to move forward the next step with that notarization. And that's another part of that's how another way that you're preventing fraud, because I don't want to go too far. Go ahead, Kimmi, because I can.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say, and part of what that note I had about signature on the document is if the client comes to you and the document has already been signed. Did y'all talk about that?
No, I didn't mention that part.
Yeah, if the document has already, that kind of goes with that number 5 that probably looked the same as number 6. So if they come to you and the document is already signed, then we're going to double check that. I may even have them re-sign, not necessarily the document. Some people will, but make sure they sign my journal and everything matches, because sometimes they'll sign before they get in front of you. Okay, depending on what kind of document, what type of notarization, that's fine. Now, if they sign in front of before they get there.
Yeah. Now, what you just said, I just had an idea of a scenario to Kimmi's point. You don't want to. I mean, it depends on the conversation that you have with your client, but you got the ID, and they've come to you and they said, "Oh, I signed it already." Okay, so that's a little flag that you want to confirm that the signature is going to match. Now, you don't want to tell. You could, if you wanted to, you could say, "Look, Mr. Signer, I want to make sure you're who you are. So let me see you sign on this random piece of paper." No, you could do it that way, or they're tense. But if you have them say, "Okay, let me fill out my journal," because really, depending on your process, once you've ID'd the person, then you can go ahead and fill out your journal. And the final step that you could do, depending on how you want to do it, then you stamp that document. But in the case that they've arrived and they've already signed it and you want to confirm, you say, "Okay, can you do me a favor I'm going to fill out my journal and you sign right here." And then when you're looking at that, you're taking a visual that this is who they say that they are, because their signature pretty much matches. And then you don't even have to say anything. Mm-hmm.
And we actually go over all of this in the Notarize Like a Pro live training. The actual processes of identifying and journaling and all of that. Feel free to check out the courses. We do have the Start Your Notary Business book in each state. We have one for every single state, all 50. If you're just starting out and unsure how to even start your business, you might want to check those books out. And everything is at notaryeducatorsllc.com. And sorry, that was another call. But that's the person we can call back. So notaryeducatorsllc.com. Also, there are a lot of free resources that we recently upgraded and uploaded for you over there. Please check out the free resources. Okay, so number 7 I have is to read the room or read your signing location. Does it make sense? Okay. Read it. Does it make sense? When I say read the room, I just love that expression because you want to kind of look around, look at everything. You're looking at the ID. We're looking at the document. We're looking at who else is there. Are they being pressured? We're looking at everything, right? So that's what I mean by read the room, read the situation, look, we talk about situations a lot nowadays. Check out the whole situation, the totality of it all. Does it make sense? And if it doesn't make sense, we may not want to be notarizing it, okay? Number 8.
The next one is we want to check for completeness. As notaries, we want to make sure that all the required signatures and notarial certificates are on the document and don't leave any blanks. So when depending on the type of document that you're notarizing, in some cases, you want them to fill out everything ahead of time, except for signing where they're supposed to sign. They may have 1, 2, 3 different places that they need to sign, depending, let's say if it's a power of attorney or something of that nature. So you want to kind of scan through it to help the client out to make sure that those things are signed and filled out so that they won't have any problem later on. And at the same time, you as the notary, you want to take your time and do your due diligence to make sure that you have, when it comes to your notarial part, that you stamp where you're supposed to stamp, because you could very easily sign and you get to talking with the person and forget to stamp. And now that one, let's say it's 3 places to stamp let's say it's a 6-page, packet, and it's 3 places to stamp and sign, and you only stamped on 2, but you signed on all the other ones. Well, that's going to be a problem. And when that person's taking that document to have it, processed wherever it is, if they're sending it or taking it or whatever it is, that's going to be a problem for you, because now they're going to reach back out and say, hey, well, you missed that stamp. So you want to check and make sure that everything where it's supposed to be signed. And now on the other hand, some things that may take a while, you want to be mindful. You don't want to be standing there all day with the person. They're doing a power of attorney and they got to make a decision. Sometimes, like Kimmi mentioned, you have to read the room. Let's say you're in a hospital or in a nursing home, and they may have to have, let's say, a family member is there with the person that's in the hospital, and they're asking a question. Well, mommy, what do you want to do in this? And there's a box that needs to be checked. Then they could check that if they haven't checked it. But that's where you want to go and do your due diligence and do a scan of all the documents, all the places, and then remind them. Because some things, the main thing is that things are notarized. You as a notary, that things are notarized the way it's supposed to. They can, if they go back in there and fill something in or change it, that's not on you, that's on them. But for you as the notary, you want to make sure that your areas have been stamped and notarized the way that it's supposed to be. But when you do all of those things, in addition to what we just mentioned, as far as checking for completeness, then that's another way to minimize or reduce a fraud.
And to Jeffrey's point, you never want to notarize extra documents, especially my notary signing agents out there, Why? Because they will ask you, signing companies will say, hey, can you send back a couple of blank ones just in case something goes wrong, just in case there was a mistake? No, we don't do that. We never stamp anything extra just so they can have your certificate, your notarization information just floating around out there, okay? And we do offer notary signing agent training for those of you who may be completely new and looking for that. Also, check out all things notaryeducatorsllc.com, okay? So number 9.
Number 9 is keeping a journal. As notaries, we want to keep a record of all our notarial acts that we perform, because when we do this can reduce the likelihood of fraud. This record can be used to track down fraudsters if necessary. So somebody can come back 2 months from now, for most of us, we know that it's hard to keep up with what just happened yesterday, let alone you doing a job, 2 months ago, unless something was really out of the ordinary, and you may even, and Kimmi does this in her training, if there was something a little weird or something out of the ordinary, I shouldn't say weird, but out of the ordinary, or it could be weird, but out of the ordinary, then you want to document that in your journal. Let's say, I don't know, what's a scenario?
If it's raining, if it's the weather, if it's raining, if they got cats and they got dogs.
Something like that.
You almost got bit by the dog.
Yeah, so you want to put that in there. You put a little note for yourself, depending on the journal that you have. We have a journal that we have a lot of room to put in different types of notes, and it has come in handy in different scenarios. Sometimes if you're doing your garden variety notarization, you're doing a stamp, couple of stamps, and you write it on there, because that's what we do here in Georgia, to keep track of a number of stamps, because and you may have to do that in your state. However, by keeping track of that, we've had scenarios where someone has called back 6 months, if not almost a year later. Let's say we did a power of attorney
2 years,
2 years, something with a family member that now they've passed, or let's say an attorney has reached out and said, we have that you were the notary that signed this document. And
it might even be, remember, they wanted to confirm the witness too. They wanted to confirm one of the witnesses, which was my mom. And, I lost her 2 years ago. It'll be 2 years tomorrow, actually, that I lost my mom. And they wanted to confirm she was one of the witnesses on there. Remember that one? So it could be anything, and not just that you were the notary. They may want to confirm that you were the witness too, or who were the witnesses to the signing. So there's any number of reasons that they may come back on you, an attorney or anyone, asking what happened with the notarization. That's why you really want to keep good records. And back to one other thing Jeffrey was mentioning earlier with those power of attorneys. I do have the specialty general notary course. Check that out. All of the courses are on sale, 60% off. Coupon code is WIN24. That's going to teach you how to navigate those documents for nursing homes and hospitals. But when you get those power of attorneys, guys, sometimes they have like 15 or 20 different locations that they have to initial. You need 2 witnesses, and it could just be a whole situation. So you really want to make sure as much of the information is filled out prior to you getting there. Because if you got to sit there 2 to 3 hours while they're talking to everybody and figuring out, well, do I want life support or do I not? Do I want to be buried or do I want to be cremated? While you sitting there waiting on them to do all that, that's costing you money. Not to be insensitive, even though that I might sound a little insensitive, but we're not sitting there 3 hours while they had this whole big family discussion. You could be out notarizing 3, 4, 5, 6 documents for other clients, making your money. So that's another reason, back to Jeffrey's point, that you really want to make sure that all the documents are completed. That's part of your screening process. That's part of your screening process, your initial phone call with people. Okay, are the documents already completed, Mr. Smith? And you do not advise them. I wanted to leave that little tidbit too. You do not advise them. Sometimes they'll say, I was waiting on you to get here so you can help me decide A, B, or C. No. We don't practice law. That's unauthorized practice of law. Okay? They'll tell you that. Do you think I should leave it to my son or my daughter? Because my daughter, they'll tell you this whole story. No, we don't advise. Okay? All right. Number 10. And be looking out for the client. He should be pulling up any minute. Number 10, Memoir,
is maintaining confidentiality. So that means that specifically when you're writing in your journal, who that person is, what kind of job it was, how much you got paid. The journal that we have, some journals, they have all the multiple entries of a job on the same page. That's one option. That's one type of journal that you can have. But we use a journal that we turn to the next page, and that is the notary for that job. In other words,
excuse me, Jeffrey, he's here.
Oh, okay.
I'll wrap up about the journal.
Okay. All right. I'll be back.
Michelle, if you need me for any reason.
Okay. All right.
Real life happening, guys. We are real notaries.
All right. Bye. See you in the back.
All right. Thanks, babe. So he'll return. So back to the journal though, and as Jeffrey was alluding to, though, we want to make sure you keep all your notes and everything written there. And how does that help with fraud? I mean, the confidentiality part, that's what we were talking about. The confidentiality part, when you're out there and you have your client's information, you don't want to be screaming through the whole neighborhood. So your driver's license number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you don't have to do all that. Confidentiality, the less that we expose our clients also, or they may have their witnesses there watching the signing of the document. We don't have to talk about all of their information in front of the client. Try to just write discreetly as much as you can in the journal without discussing it, even in front of the witnesses. They may not want their witnesses to know their driver's license number or to know what the item is. So technically, the witnesses normally don't even need to know what the item is. They may ask, because if I was serving as a witness, I would want to know what am I witnessing. But to get all into the details, well, this is a 401k withdrawal, and and you telling all this, and they're getting $40,000, and now their neighbors know. No. Or if it's a loan modification, the witnesses don't need to know all the information about the client. They don't need to know the terms and condition of the loan mod. Okay. So number 11. So just be careful with maintaining confidentiality out there. And the last one we had is number 11, making sure you follow your state's laws. Okay. And knowing what their requirements are. You have to know your state handbook. Now, we teach at Notary Educators all 50 states, okay? Because once you know how to be a notary, you know how to be a notary. But there are slight little caveats to each state that you need to know that are in your handbook, okay? So that's going to be the last thing we push back on, is make sure you know that handbook. So as I already stated throughout some of these tips, I stopped for a few minutes. We do have the Start Your Notary Business book. We have and it's available for all 50 states. The class schedules are up for February. March is coming soon. Check out the many, many free resources we have. And I'm going to go ahead and get some of our comments now while we wait on Jeffrey to return. So we're going to say again, welcome to everyone that's just joining us. Go back and catch the replay if you missed it. We talked all tonight about preventing fraud. It was an excellent discussion. Excellent. I'm so appreciative for Jeffrey being here tonight. So we talked about the colored contacts already. We are not the contact police. If they want to wear blue tomorrow, gray the next day, whatever, they can wear different contacts. Their eyeglasses may change. It could be any number of things that will be different on a driver's license. The person's hair may change. Okay. So we just want to make sure they are who they say they are to the best of our ability. Okay. We're going to say hey to a couple people. Let's see. I think we already said hey to, let me see. I'm going to skip the hellos. Okay, guys, but hello to everyone so we can get your questions in. Okay. Hello, everybody. The next thing we have is from Jay Sparty for you. I know a guy who lied about his height on his ID. He's 5'7", but his ID says 5'11". That's okay too. Yes, we are not the height or weight police either. I'll be honest. I've changed my weight on my ID for years. Okay. So, so that's not a big deal. That's not a big deal. They can put whatever they want. And again, it's just to the best of our ability. So he's not going to be, like 7 foot and put 5. You know what I mean? That's a huge difference. And that's going to be a red flag for me. If that person, if I'm looking at those kind of things, which you can quickly look at the demographics on the ID or the information, quickly look at that. But if I'm looking at it and everything don't match up, now we got a red flag. So now you're going to be stuck with me a little bit longer. Go ahead and put your questions in the chat, whatever you would like to know. Any questions you have about our topic this evening, being a notary, where to get started. Kimmi Yvette says, I thought there was a device on Amazon to check if ID is legit. There are different devices and different apps. That's no problem. But again, we're not talking about relying on just those kind of things, because I don't have a device. I actually have a banking background, like 20 years at the bank. So I'm pretty good with fake IDs and stuff. I would also say, since I just said that, it triggered something for me too. Kind of Google and look at your state ID. What should it have on it? If your state, like for example, ours is the peach state. If our driver's license should have a peach on it, and I'm looking at Google just to kind of see what does a Georgia ID look like, and it doesn't have a peach, the next time I get one, that's going to be a red flag. You know what I mean? So kind of Google is your best friend too, just to see other people's ID, your state ID. Let's see. Next we have Guy. Guy says, if the signer doesn't want to say their info out loud, example, driver's license number, would it be okay to have them write it in the journal? Yeah, typically, Guy, I write in my journal. I don't allow the client to write their own ID. I write in my journal. I write in my notarial block, okay? I don't leave them to write into my stuff. The only thing I let them do in my journal is sign it and maybe write their address, okay? But typically, whatever I'm supposed to do as a notary, I don't delegate that to the client. That's what I get paid for. Okay? I'm not in that big a hurry where I'm not going to handle my business. I'm going to leave it to them. Okay? Angel says, can you give us a scenario of dealing with a transgender person who presents in a gender different than their ID? Yeah, we talked about that earlier, Angel. You probably missed it in the beginning. I don't mind repeating it, though. For example, if you have John Smith on the ID, but when they get to you, the person in front of you is saying that, no, my name is now Juana. You know, if the document says John Smith, they can wear whatever they want to, but where the ID and the document have to match. Okay. He can't sign the document Juana if the ID says John. Now, we're not the gender police. We're not getting into that. That's not our business. People can present however they want to. Okay. But when it comes to what we're writing in our journal and that document, those two have to match, okay? All right. The ID and the document have to match, all right? And again, we're not the gender police. We're not, okay? What journal do I use? I use the Integrity Journal. Angela has a really nice journal too, that has 4 spaces for 2 clients and 2 witnesses. Most journals do not. So either between Angela's journal, who's our other trainer for those of you who do not know, or the Integrity Journal. And for all notary supplies, I do have a link at notaryeducatorsllc.com under notary supplies. You can check that out, okay? And I get all my supplies right from Amazon. Somebody saying, no, how do you handle that? Okay, so I think we just answered that. What do you say? I just answered that too. If I did not, let me know. How do you decline a service in the middle once you're suspicious? Oh yeah, it's gonna be easy, guys. We're not gonna get an attitude. We're not gonna be fussing. It's gonna sound something like this. Well, Mr. Smith, unfortunately, I don't feel comfortable with ABC. And just tell them. I had a lady last night I had to decline, and I probably told her too much information. I was like, I can't do it, but someone may do it, you know, so she may look for another notary. Again, I probably should not have even said that, but the situation really quick was her document. So her name, for example, was Jane Smith, but now she's Jane Johnson. So first of all, the ID did not match the document. So we got one problem already. We talking about red flags, right? The other situation was her husband or boyfriend, the ex, was incarcerated in jail. So now she's saying she has power of attorney for him, right? So she's telling me she has power of attorney. The mortgage company told her how to sign the documents in his absence and everything, right? But that's a no-go for me because I don't know that he's in jail. Even if I did know it, that's not for me to assume that she's telling me the truth, okay? Now, another notary probably will notarize those documents for her because they won't know. That's why proper training is so important. I get upset when I hear people tell you you don't need to be trained. It's not that you can just figure it out. It's not complicated, as I always say, but you do need to know what you're doing. So another notary probably will notarize these documents, okay? But everything did not match up. And as a pro that I am, I'm not going to do it. I'm sorry. It's not even worth the money, okay? Nothing is worth losing your commission, and nothing, okay? So you just very easily tell the client, and you're not getting upset about it. Again, and in my class I teach, I have a picture of this man kind of laid back in his chair, and it's like, we ain't getting upset. My blood pressure is not going up. If I cannot do it, I cannot do it. Okay. Hey everybody. Angel says, no, I understand the situation, but was looking for you to give an example of what you say in that type of situation. In what situation, Angel? I'm trying to understand what you're saying. I've told you how to handle it, what to say. That no, I'm not doing it. Mr. Smith, unfortunately, I won't be able to accept this ID. You're not going to tell the client that I'm suspicious of you. You're not going to say that. You're not going to say, I think you're fraudulent. And if you think the ID doesn't match, it just sounds like that too. I'm very, very upfront when it comes to my business. I don't play. Mr. Smith, unfortunately, the ID does not look like what I'm accustomed in the state of Georgia. So I won't be able to accept that. Oh, well, it's real. I don't know why you're saying that. Well, unfortunately, I cannot verify that. It looks different than what I'm accustomed to. Okay. So you can let me know, Angel, if that was what you were looking for, but I may not even have the answer for you. Maybe something you come up with on your own, how you want to tell the client no. But how you want to tell the client no, but that's what I would say. Okay. Moral Platitude says, what is a remedy when they don't have their ducks in a row? If you're referring to like the power of attorneys, like we were talking about earlier, I'm not going to sit there 3 hours while they fill that out. The conversation would sound something like, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I will have to return upon completion. You can let me know. And then you have to decide if you're going to charge them oh, okay. She said you were answering at the same time my last message showed up. Okay, Angel. Okay, very good. Cool. Then you have to decide if you want to charge them a additional travel fee. So if I've already traveled to you and now all of your stuff, your ducks are not in a row and I got to come back. And I did that with one guy. He was livid. He had his wife coming to serve as a witness. And I was like, I can come back, but I was on a whole other side of town. So I was going to charge him a little extra to go back. And you guys know I don't charge for everything like that. I'm not that notary. But if you really inconvenience me, then yeah, somebody going to have to pay for this. Or you have to find another notary. So I might take a loss because you don't want to do business with me because now you changed the terms. But, hold on 1 second, okay? Because I have a note from Jeffrey about this client. Hold on. Okay. All right, y'all. Hold on 1 second. I may have to end this. Guys, he does actually need me. I'm so sorry. But I think we covered everything. So I'm glad we got through everything because we are live. This is real. This is real life here. So I'm going to conclude our notary episode tonight. I want to thank you all for being here. Again, please be vigilant about protecting yourselves with fraud. It is your business. People will try you, but you have to know what you're doing in these notary streets, okay? I want you guys to be protected. I want you to make your money, et cetera, okay? So on behalf of Jeffrey, Notary Life with Kimmi, and the Notary Educators Training Team, guys, I'm going to say good night, okay? I got to go make my money. All right, bye, guys. It's been my pleasure. Good night. Thank you again for listening to the Notary Life with Kimmi podcast. We would love to be a part of your notary journey. Please visit us at notaryeducatorsllc.com for all of your notary training needs. Also, please feel free to join the Notary Life with Kimmi YouTube channel, where Kimmi has over 400 videos that will help you to grow and build a successful notary business. Until the next episode, we wish you much success on your journey. Bye.